What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ready, Set, Replay, the ultimate video game replay podcast. I'm Daniel, joined, as always, by my best friend, Skyler.
I'm here.
And today, we are going way back. You may be questioning us. Daniel, that title says Resident Evil, but that's from 1996, and you guys are playing games from the year 2000. Yes, in the year 2000, Code Veronica came out, and we are using it as an excuse to go back and play all of the prior Resident Evils. So that is 1, 2, and 3 before Code Veronica. So get ready for a rock'em block'em of Resident Evil games.
Our Special Evil series.
Special Evil series, baby. Which is cool, because I think, maybe not these ones specifically, but the Resident Evil franchise is like one of your favorite franchises, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Otis over here. So we should have a lot of fun doing it. And honestly, there are a lot of classic games. But, Skyler, we gotta do it.
We're going further back than we've ever gone before.
If we go...
Can the little time travel spaceship we get into every time we do this, can it go back that far? Can it make it?
It's untested, but we're gonna have to give it our best shot. I'm a little worried about it myself. We might get trapped back there.
Hold my hand.
Okay.
Don't make it weird. Hold my hand.
Fasten all your seatbelts. Whoa! It is April 1st, 1996. That's right. Resident Evil 1 was released, at least in the States, on April Fool's Day. Can you believe it?
What a prank.
Yeah. Actually, I looked up if there were any pranks this year. Do you want to know what the biggest one was?
The biggest prank of the year?
The biggest prank of April.
1996?
Yeah.
Okay. What was it?
I will give you a chance to guess. It involves Taco Bell.
Oh, they put the Chihuahua in a catapult. Did they have the Chihuahua yet?
I don't know. Probably.
Oh man. Okay. Did they were like? I can't even imagine something. There were tacos. We got a joke taco. It's got I don't know, man. How am I supposed to think of what the mind of a 1996 Taco Bell corpo was thinking? I was barely even alive at the time.
That's true. I was 2, and you were like 1.5 or something.
All right, you could have said we were both. You don't need to.
You were a little baby boy.
You don't got to put the 6 months on me.
Little
like that.
baby. No. So what they did is they bought ad space in the 6 biggest print newspapers in America, and in all 6 of them, they claimed that they had bought the Liberty Bell.
Oh, because the bell.
Yeah.
They're like, we're gonna put this over a Taco Bell. We're gonna ring it every day.
Not even. They actually put out a whole like image press release thing for it, and it says, In an effort to help the national debt, Taco Bell is pleased to announce that we have agreed to purchase the Liberty Bell, one of our country's most historic treasures. It will now be called the Taco Liberty Bell, and will still be accessible to the American public for viewing. While some may find this controversial, we hope our move will prompt other corporations to take similar actions to do their part to reduce the country's debt.
All right. Funny, but also a little depressing that almost 20 years ago that was a joke, and now I feel like it's not like that could happen.
It really isn't. But White House press secretary Mike McCurry at the time, Bill Clinton's press secretary, he played into the joke a little bit, because they came out at like noon of that day and were like, no guys, we didn't actually buy the Liberty Bell, although a lot of people seemed convinced that they had.
Yeah,
it was like
jokes
genuinely
were new back then.
Yeah, they hadn't invented comedy yet. And he said that the federal government was also selling the Lincoln Memorial to Ford, and they were going to rename it the Lincoln Mercury Memorial.
That's okay. All right.
So he just fully played into it.
That cabinet was just a bunch of party animals.
That's what I'm saying. They had a lot of fun. But here's some other fun news. So the Billboard top 5 are pretty interesting, I would say. Number 1 is Because You Loved Me by Celine Dion.
Celine, got it.
Celine Dion. It was the theme of a movie called Up Close and Personal.
She did a lot of movie themes, that Celine.
Yeah. It's crazy that like probably some of her most known music is made for movies.
Yeah.
Number 2 was Always Be My Baby by Mariah Carey.
All right.
Number 3 was
Mariah.
Nobody Knows by the Tony Rich Project. Number 4 was Down Low by R. Kelly.
All right. R.
And
Kelly.
and here's where I want to sidetrack slightly. This was also the year. I'm not going to go into the whole story because it's crazy. This was also the year that the first allegation against him came out about the
Mm,
child predation, and it took
wow.
until 2022 to get his ass arrested. Can you believe
Man.
that?
Yes.
And
I
so
can believe it.
I was looking into some of it because I thought it was hilarious, and I was like, how did we not get this guy sooner? His like second album is called 12 Play, and
Uh,
the theory is that it was named after Aaliyah, who he met when she was 12.
uh,
Uh, all of his music is about like we're gonna have sex, but you got to keep it secret.
yeah, that's
People
great.
people won't like our sex, but so we got to keep it a secret, big secret, shush shush shush, which is insane. And then here's the thing: in like 2020 or no 2018, 2019, when the allegations started coming, that was when like the P1 happened, which was the big
Yeah,
one. That was the one that like really
yeah.
finally took him down.
Because P's funny,
Yes,
and
yeah,
people remember
we
it.
got him the same
Like,
way
yeah.
that we got Brock Lesnar, except with
Well, that was
children.
just yeah, yeah. Okay, go on.
So when that happened, Spotify and Apple Music were like, okay, we're gonna take his music off because we just don't want to support that anymore. Do you know who threw a fit and got his stuff put back on?
No.
It really struck a chord, and it was probably a minor.
Wait, are you saying Drake threw it or Kendrick
No,
threw it? So
Kendrick
okay,
threw a fit and got R. Kelly's music put back on Spotify. He is the number one named person in why they put his music back on because he threatened to also take his music off.
interesting.
So just in case anyone's
Uh,
wondering, being a child predator is okay with Kendrick as long as you don't also talk trash about Kendrick.
well, I don't know about that. Okay. Obviously, you've looked into it more than I have.
It's straight up
I will,
crazy.
I will say that when bad people do bad things, that is very bad.
Yeah, you don't say.
Um, but there is something scary of like, well, this guy, we're gonna take out this art, across the board. Like, is Roman Polanski a bad guy? Yeah, but should his movies be like inaccessible? No. So I don't know. Yeah, the
Yeah,
but
I
it's a
hear
weird thing
you.
where it's like because I think they came at it from a place where um we don't want to financially support this guy by having his stuff on our platform
Yeah.
anymore, but also, you know,
Well, but I don't know Roman Polanski's stuff really. But I would argue that R. Kelly stuff is probably more directly gross because one of his like all of his famous songs are about having sex with children.
yeah,
One of his most famous songs literally goes, "I don't see nothing wrong with a little bit of bump and
with a
grind."
bump and grind. Yeah,
So I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe R. Kelly just ain't hitting the way it used to hit. Maybe we
you know
don't
what?
need it.
Um, I'm gonna say it's when it comes to R. Kelly specifically, it's not my fight to make. So
That's fair.
I'm gonna leave that to the people who know better, and apparently Kendrick Lamar.
And apparently Kendrick Lamar. And then number 5 was Ironic by Alanis Morissette.
Oh, that is ironic.
In it.
Do you like Alanis Morissette?
I do. I do. I like her quite a bit. Although I will say this song in particular, the biggest thing I remember about it was Mr. Otto, my seventh grade teacher, being like,
Mhm,
just so you know, nothing she talks
mhm.
about is actually irony.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't. I'm okay with Alanis. She's not my favorite, but I don't know.
No, of that like era of all, there was a lot of like Alanis Morissette types where it was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know that she would have been my favorite. To be fair, I don't really know who would be. But we just talked about this some other place, but who was it that did dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. Who's
Oh, yeah. Um.
who is that one? Because I think I like
Uh.
that song better at least, but I can't remember her name, so apparently I don't like it that much.
It was Vanessa Carlton.
Vanessa Carlton. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of people that sort of fit into that same category, specifically in this time period. But Skyler, let's go to the box office, your area of expertise.
Oh yes.
I couldn't find weekly numbers for this, so I had to go for monthly numbers, and I went for
Mhm.
March instead of April because it was the first. So,
Sure.
uh, March of 1996, number one was a movie called The Birdcage by MGM.
Oh, I know that movie.
It has an insane cast. I watched
Yes,
it
it does.
last night.
Oh, did you watch
I
it?
watched it last night
You like it?
here's what I read. Okay, so the cast this is the reason why I watched it. The
Yeah.
cast is Robin Williams, Callista Flockhart, Nathan Lane,
Yeah.
Diane
Yeah.
Wiest,
Yeah.
and Gene Hackman. And the plot is a gay cabaret owner and his drag queen companion agree to put up a false straight front so that their son can introduce them to his fiance's right wing conservative parents. I don't know how you
Yeah.
hear that and don't go like, well, I want to watch this.
Yeah, exactly.
Turns out it's just on Hulu, so I just pulled it up, and yeah, it's real good. It's really funny.
Uh, it's funny. That movie's been on my list of like if I find it somewhere on Blu-ray, I need to buy it. Like it's been on my hunting for list for a while, and I can never find it.
Yeah.
I could order it probably, I would assume, but I just haven't.
Here's the thing about that movie: I have never once in my life thought Robin Williams is super hot. Birdcage,
I
Robin Williams is
mean,
really hot.
he's rocking the mustache in
He's
that one.
really hot in that movie. He gets it. Um,
Good stuff.
and he plays
And Nathan Lane is so funny.
Nathan
Oh
Lane
my
is
god,
hilarious in it. Oh my god,
he's
he's
hilarious
so
in
good.
everything.
I love him. To be fair, I don't really know a ton of his movies, but I love him. I also just love Callista Flockhart. I think she's great. Ally McBeal herself. She doesn't
Yeah,
really do
yeah.
a ton in this movie, to be honest, but she's fine. Uh, but yes, number two is Up Close and Personal by Disney.
Ooh,
So we are in a Celine Dion section here.
this is her era.
Up Close and Personal is Robert Redford and Michelle Pfeiffer. It's a movie about a journalist who wants to marry her, or at least date her boss. I don't know. It's a romance. Number three is Executive Decision, coming from Warner Brothers, starring Kurt Russell, Halle Berry, and Steven Seagal. And it's a movie about terrorists seizing an airplane.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Number four, Down Periscope is a comedy from 20th Century Fox
Yep.
with Kelsey Grammer, Lauren Holly, and Rob Schneider. And it's basically just like Frasier has to take over the submarine of losers
Yeah.
and make them
Yeah.
good. And then number five is a movie that I know you love, Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco.
I'm sure I saw Homeward Bound 2, but I don't remember. I mean, everyone remembers Homeward Bound, I guess. People go on vacation and the pets think they left them, and so
Yeah.
they go across the country to find them, and it apparently happened more than once.
Yeah, I don't know how many there
So I
were, but at least two.
Yeah, yeah, I can't remember. I mean, it was easy. Just put a talking dog in a movie and kids will see it. It's fine.
It's Michael J. Fox, Sally Field, and Ralph Waite. And it's the same plot as the first one, but this time they're in San Francisco.
Well, that's fantastic.
But also
That
in
was
the world.
that,
Oh,
that was like top 5. Homeward
that
Bound
was
2.
number 5 in March. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Also in March 24th, so about a week before this, was the 68th Academy Awards. We won't go into too much detail here, but just to sort of set the stage here. Best Picture went to Braveheart, as did Best Directing, went to Mel Gibson for Braveheart.
Makes sense.
Best Actor was Nicolas Cage for Leaving Las Vegas. Best Actress, Susan Sarandon for Dead Man Walking. Supporting actor Kevin Spacey in The Usual Suspects. Supporting actress Mira Sorvino in Mighty Aphrodite. And then Pocahontas won both score and original song for Color of the Wind.
It's a good song, to be fair.
It's a good one.
You like Pocahontas?
I do. I don't know that I would put it in like my top ones, just because like
No.
I don't really remember like the plot of it being something that like gripped me. I didn't particularly care for the romance between her and whatever the white guy's name was.
His name was John Smith.
John Smith, right? The most forgettable
Yeah.
name of all time. But gorgeous
Voiced
movie.
by
Looked so
Mel
good.
Gibson. I
Really?
believe. Yeah.
So
Big
he's
year
cleaning
for
up. Mel Gibson's doing good here. I didn't know that was Mel
Yeah, yeah,
Gibson. If
Um,
anyone, I would have assumed Mel Gibson was voicing the fat conquistador looking guy.
No, that guy. I can't remember that guy's name, but he's class.
I guess in this time
Um,
period, we were still under the impression that Mel Gibson was like a good person. So,
Maybe I was too young to be paying attention to such things.
well, speaking of bad people, in the world of sports,
Oh no.
the Cleveland Browns moved to Baltimore and renamed themselves the Baltimore Ravens.
I just bought a Baltimore Ravens hat the other day.
So, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but yes, the Baltimore Ravens used to be the Cleveland Browns up until 1996. Right
Okay.
about here. This was specifically March 29th was when they announced the new name, the Baltimore Ravens. And then a couple years later in 99, the league was like, well, we want the Browns back. Like they were one of the first teams. They're super historical. So they
Yeah.
recreated it with a brand new team.
New Browns.
And, the the second person that they switched their name to the Ravens, and they immediately fired their coach, an unknown guy named Bill Belichick. Don't think I've ever heard of him before. And then they named
Listen,
themselves after a poet's favorite bird, and then hired Ray Lewis as their second ever draft pick, and the rest was history.
listen, listen. I'm not here to defend the actions of the past.
Yeah,
All I'm going to say is I like my new Ravens hat.
it's a good hat.
That's all I'm gonna say.
It's good branding, and they just got rid of
Poe's cool. Poe's a cool mascot.
Poe's a cool mascot. It's a
It's a
shame.
good logo.
It's a shame how many criminals have been on that team.
That's fine.
They just fired
That's
one,
just
but then they hired another one. So it's like
that's what. No. We we'll get him. We get him out eventually. Don't worry about
to
it.
be fair, Mike Green's I don't think have been proven yet, but Justin Tugger, he had to go.
Don't call him Tugger.
That's his name.
You're not wrong, but you don't do it.
That's his name. March 31st, the day right before this, was WrestleMania
Hell yeah.
12.
Well,
Not a good
WrestleMania
one.
12. Okay.
Not a good one.
Well, a lot. There was
One really
in this
good match.
era-
One really good match. There were the main event was a 60-man Iron Man. 60-minute Iron Man between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, where Shawn Michaels won.
the famous one.
This was the one where he came down on the zip line, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the whole thing. I just watched clips because I don't have the streaming service necessary to watch them.
I think what's the trivia on that one? It's like the only televised or at least on pay-per-view 60-minute Iron Man match WWE's ever done because to be fair, a 60-minute Iron Man match
It's
is
long.
hard to do. For
Yeah.
those who don't know wrestling, there's a time limit, 1 hour. The match is going to be 1 hour, and whoever has the most pinfalls.
Yeah. Instead of, because most matches have technically a time limit, but it never gets to it because it ends whenever there's a pinfall.
Yeah.
In Iron Man matches, it goes the full time, and whoever has the most pins by the end, or submissions.
And what's crazy about this 60-minute Iron Man match is it went to sudden death overtime. So it was actually for the hour.
Yeah. Undertaker continued his streak by beating Diesel, and then two really awful matches happened that may history forget their names. The first one, but we won't. Here we are. This was I think like right in the middle of the Monday Night Wars, because there was the Huckster versus Nacho Man, which ended in a no contest after both of them. They built it as a geriatric match, and then both of them, as well as guest referee Billionaire Ted, based on TNT's Ted, Turner, all died in the ring. All of them.
It ended in a no contest because they all died.
Because they all died.
Yeah, the Huckster being a fake Hulk Hogan and the Nacho Man being a fake Macho Man, who were both in WCW, which was owned by Ted Turner, Billionaire Ted, and
and Vince was throwing a bitch fit because they were beating him at the time.
Just kill them all at the time.
Yeah.
No, that's classic Monday Night Wars. Perfect.
So that's just like petty, shallow, childish stuff. Much worse, in my opinion, is the Roddy Piper Goldust match.
Yeah, okay, I knew we were going here.
Yeah. So this was a match between
Hollywood
everyone's favorite Roddy Piper. Genuinely, I really like Roddy Piper. It's a shame how many bad angles he was in.
Yeah, it happens. Go on.
Where he wanted to beat the hell out of Goldust because he thought Goldust was gay, which, like, he probably was.
That's the reason.
Or something. They didn't specifically say that, but that was the reason. And then
Goldust was very flamboyant.
He was very flamboyant. And then this match,
his whole thing was making people uncomfortable by how gay he was.
This match resulted in a car chase, in which they cut to footage of the O.J. Simpson car chase.
Yeah, that's classic. How can you
ask
just
for stuck anything? That in there.
How can you ask for anything more classic than that in wrestling? That's just what we do, you know. That's what. That's what made us people fans. Is that?
Just for like a little bit extra sauce on the thing, here's a couple other smaller things that were happening in the world. I say smaller, they're not really, but they're just like not huge things to talk about. Is on April 3rd, 2 days after this came out, they caught the Unabomber.
Cool.
Theodore Kaczynski, they captured him in Montana. On the 1st, the Howard Stern radio show debuted.
Oh.
And on March 31st, a person who you don't know, but the internet does, Liza Koshy was born. She's a huge, like, social media personality.
Okay, thank you for the context.
She's been in, I think, like, most of the YouTube rewinds before they sucked.
I don't think I've ever actually watched a YouTube rewind.
You don't have to. They're not good, but she was big enough that she was in a lot of them. Is really my only point of bringing it
Right.
up.
Congratulations,
Liza Koshy.
whatever. Yeah, you. Congratulations on
She's
being
pretty
born.
cool. I also found, because I don't know if we're gonna come back to '96 anytime soon. I found this little blurb of like what was going on in the world at the time, and I think that it will hurt you.
Mm,
So I'm gonna read it.
hit me.
A new form of communication called text messaging is starting to become more widespread. However, it can only be done if both the sender and the receiver are on the same cell network. Meanwhile, a global system called the Internet is also starting to take off. Each day, more and more people are learning how to send emails and browse websites on the World Wide Web by connecting their IBM computers to noisy dial up modems. In fashion, grunge clothing has fallen out of favor, and women are beginning to wear form fitting outfits such as slip dresses and pencil skirts. Movies such as Clueless and The Craft have popularized the sexy schoolgirl look. The CD is quickly becoming the dominant format for music, and people are buying portable players such as the Discman. Consequently, sales of cassette tapes are continuing to decline. It's 1996, so radio stations are being dominated by the likes of Mariah Carey, Boyz II Men, Celine Dion, Oasis, Mark Morrison, Spice Girls. It goes on for a while. But how do you feel about that? Texting and the internet, still considered new.
Mm, CDs, and there's a lot to take in there.
Yeah. CDs are on the rise, and the internet is becoming a thing people care about. Also, Gillian Anderson voted sexiest woman in 1996, and I don't disagree.
Right. Finally, something we can agree on.
There we go.
Us and the year 1996.
Yeah. But Skyler, now that we are firmly back in 1996, we've learned all that we can. We are ready to embark on the brand new mission in this evil residence.
Gillian Anderson should have played Jill Valentine.
Honestly, I would have been down for that.
That would have been cool.
Skyler, do you want to hear just a little bit of the formation of this game and how it was created?
Tell me about it.
So, Resident Evil, for anyone who doesn't know, is probably the first, not the first, but like the first huge survival horror game. It was the game that like made horror games a thing that people cared about. There were ones before this that we'll talk about in a second, but this was the first one that like really made people care. It was created by Capcom under the direction of Shinji Mikami, who is the father of survival horror. He's made a lot of really good ones. I think his most recent great survival horror game is probably the Evil Within series. I love both of those games. They are phenomenal. He was tasked with making a remake of a 1989 video game, also by Capcom.
Yeah.
The game called Sweet Home, based on a Japanese movie. The game never came to America, but when you look at it and like put it side by side, you can really tell like, oh, there was a lot of like things that we took from this, which is fair. I mean, it started as a remake of it, but it also started as a first person shooter, which is crazy. I can't imagine how that would have felt. Probably not great. We just played a first person shooter that came out 4 years after this, and it was ass. So here we are.
Yeah. Famously, the Resident Evil series will dip into rail shooter territory.
True.
But,
Uh,
you know what? I guess we do go first person eventually, don't we?
We do, yeah. In 7, there's probably some sections before that too, that maybe, but yeah. In the movie and subsequently the game, there are 5 filmmakers exploring a haunted mansion, and the 5 main characters it's basically the beginnings of survival horror. They have limited weapons and health items. Each of the main characters has a specific item, either a camera, a lighter, a med kit, a lockpick, or a vacuum cleaner, and that sort of helps them get through different areas.
Oh, he's got the Luigi's Mansion strat, that guy.
Yeah, I don't really know how that would have worked. It places an emphasis on puzzle solving, item management, and survival. And you had to solve the mystery of the mansion and escape it as it falls apart. It also was the first game to have that door loading screen.
Mm.
Yes. It was never localized to America, so we never got it. But the big difference between this and Resident Evil was this was like a top-down, very pixely game.
Okay.
Where they took the inspiration for the gameplay style of Resident Evil 1 is from a game called Alone in the Dark, which was a 1992 game from Infogrames, which deadass just looks like if Resident Evil 1 was made in RuneScape.
Okay.
Like down to the font. The font is like, that is the RuneScape font.
Okay.
Absolutely. You choose between a male and female protagonist in it. You're again trapped inside a haunted mansion. It is Resident Evil. But it also introduces tank controls and the fixed camera angles that Resident Evil 1, 2, and I'm pretty sure 3, although I never played 3, are all known for. So you can really see if you sort of, honestly, if you just look at Alone in the Dark, you're like, yeah, that's just Resident Evil. That's just Resident
Right.
Evil.
Right.
So that's how we got one of the most iconic survival horror video games of all time, is that he was told to make a remake of a game based on a movie that no one in America has ever heard of, and then was like, yeah, this is kind of more than that now, and just made
Yeah.
it its
Yeah.
own thing. So it's kind of
Fantastic.
cool.
You know what? We'll take it.
Now, I played the I think we both played different versions of the director's cut. I played the director's cut DualShock edition, and
Yeah.
I played the PS1 disc on my PS2. You played, I believe, through PS Plus.
I did play. I do own it physically, and now that we've discovered this difference, I'm wondering what my disc says. If it says DualShock Edition on it, I don't think it does, but I would have to check. A professional would have checked before we recorded this.
It's okay.
But yeah, on the uh, PS Plus, what they have is just like the straight up director's cut.
Yeah, and the director's cut, from what I can tell, it made a fair few changes, not like anything too crazy. It added the
The
arrange mode, which just like
yeah,
moves the items and enemies around. It added the beginner mode, which is just an easy mode, and it added some like new camera angles and new costumes. Was what yours
yeah,
added?
it's not crazy different.
Yeah, yeah, it's not too bad. But it was
Unless you play
also,
the arrange, then it's very different.
yeah. Well, and the director's cut came out in 1997 because they wanted to have Resident Evil 2 out by then, but they didn't get it
Yeah,
out. And so they put out the
yeah.
director's cut to like stopgap that, because 1 year in between or 2 years in between back then was considered a long time, which is crazy, but here we are.
And I believe they had like a little playable demo of Resident Evil 2, like that they gave out with it
Yeah,
with the
it
director's
was on the
cut.
disc, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Um so there was that. It got ported a ton. It actually also got ported to the Sega Saturn, which actually also added, I mean, it looked like the Sega Saturn version is by far the worst version according to everybody.
Mm.
But it added an arcade style battle mini game called Mercenary Mode,
Hey, the first of many.
the first of many. It was ported to GameCube in 2002 with the RE make. Resident Evil Deadly Silence was a re-release of it on Nintendo DS in 2006. It was released in 2014 as Resident Evil HD, and it also had an unreleased Game Boy Color version that never came together, because how do you get this game on a Game Boy?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Just the camera angles alone.
and
Like you'd have
absolutely,
to completely abandon that.
yeah. There's a version of it that has been like sort of released, stolen, whatever you want it, leaked since, and it is damn near unplayable. Which is fair because they never put it out, probably because it was awful. But yeah, Skyler, what are your top level thoughts of this game, Resident Evil 1?
It is iconic for a reason.
Mm.
You know that when I go to Disneyland,
Did
the first thing I do is I speed walk straight over to the Haunted Mansion. That's the first ride I'm getting on.
yeah,
And then before I leave Disneyland, I'm like, all right, let me hit Haunted Mansion one more time.
yeah,
And this is the it's not haunted, but this is the haunted house video game, and I
yeah,
love it. This
yeah. You are the horror boy.
this is not my definitive uh go-to version of this game. I really like the remake, the RE make
The 2002
of
one or the 2015 one?
the 2002 one, 2015 one.
Yeah,
What's the 2015 one?
it's just called Resident Evil HD.
Well, I guess I don't know, maybe that one, I guess. I don't know. That's a good question. Which one did I play?
Which one do you play? What system do you play it on?
Uh 360, I guess. So
That's
it's
the
probably the
2015 one.
2000 the
Yeah,
2015 one. Okay.
yeah.
Either way,
Yep.
yeah, I think the remake comes together a little bit better. It does. I mean, we'll get to it eventually. Where
Yeah,
we will see that it extends some of the sequences here a little bit more. And adds a couple things, including an interesting character or two. But this is like I said, it's iconic for a reason. What did you think about it?
absolutely. I think this might be. I don't know if it's my favorite game that we've played for this show so far, but it's definitely up there.
Mhm.
It's really really good. I think it's definitely got some drawbacks that we will get to. I think there's a
Oh
couple
yeah,
of things where it's like, ooh.
it's
Um,
definitely aged.
yeah, it's quite aged, but also to be fair, you and me, different versions of the game notwithstanding, we also just played different games because I played as
Yeah.
Chris and you played as Jill, and
Yes.
those are not the same video game.
No.
Like not at all. My version was
No.
apparently way harder.
In fact, there's a list here that I can run down of the differences between playing as Jill and Chris.
Go for it.
So as Jill, I had the lockpick, which right off the bat, I believe, um, made my experience better, easier.
Yeah, yeah.
I got 2 more item slots.
That's the biggest
Um,
thing for me.
yeah, 100%. So Chris can take more damage. That's the trade-off for the item slots. I think the item slots are better.
Yeah, I never really had too much difficulty with like taking damage. The item slots, 'cause I guess we've never really still haven't described like how this game works. It really is you're just walking around a haunted mansion, well not haunted. It's full of zombies and monsters.
Yeah.
Uh, and you just have to basically solve puzzles and shoot zombies and get out. But it's the like survival horror aspect of it is that you have an extremely limited number of like bullets and healing items and things like that. So you have to be like pretty stingy about how you do anything. And when you put on top of that that Chris is only allowed to carry 6 items, and at any given time, at least 3 of those slots are being taken up by your gun, your ammo for that gun, and probably
Mhm.
like a key,
Yeah.
and maybe the fourth one is taken up by a healing item because I feel like you should probably always keep one of those on you. You've really only got two slots to work with.
The item slots, the game rewards you for being brave enough not to carry a healing item.
Yeah. Well, for you it probably doesn't matter. You got 8 slots. You could fit the whole mansion in that.
I as Jill, sometimes I was carrying 2 weapons, an embarrassment of riches.
I know. Yeah, I never really had any reason to care because also
Yeah.
apparently it's honestly weird that you would need to take because apparently Jill does more damage per bullet.
Is that a fact?
That's what I have been seeing. Yeah.
I know Chris is tankier, he can take more damage, and apparently he runs faster? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, I mean, I didn't play as Jill, so I couldn't tell you, but I definitely got past some things. That's for sure.
Do you start the game as Chris and you just have the lighter?
No, no, you
Okay,
get that later. I don't remember exactly where you get it, but you get it later.
interesting. Well, yeah, because the thing that I read here might be
No,
the
when you start
wrong
as Chris, you
thing.
don't even
So
have a gun.
don't even have a
You don't
gun?
even have a gun. All you have is the
Oh,
knife,
well,
and then you go off to the side and you find the first zombie who does like the turnaround,
yeah.
the iconic turnaround,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you go back to the main hall, and Wesker has presumably kidnapped Jill, and her gun is just laying on the ground, and you're like, well, guess I have a gun
Okay.
now.
Yeah, Barry gives Jill the gun, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, Barry's a lot more present in Jill's story than I assume until you get to Rebecca that anyone else was. There are that's another bonus to playing as Jill is
yeah,
there are a couple instances where Barry will just help you. Like a good example is that first zombie. When you find him and he starts following you and you don't have anything but a knife, you can run back to Barry and the zombie will follow you and Barry will shoot it for you. It's like, okay, didn't need to waste
does
anything
that
there.
zombie follow you into a different room?
Hmm.
Oh, he doesn't with Chris. He'll stay in that hallway.
And then the biggest one is there's the shotgun puzzle to get the shotgun.
Yeah,
So you had to find the broken shotgun to replace on the wall so that it wouldn't trigger a trap and kill you.
right.
Jill can just walk her dumbass in and pick up the shotgun and leave, and the trap will be about to kill you, and Barry will come save you out of it.
Right. And then he goes,
And
you
that is
almost
the
became a Jill sandwich.
Jill sandwich. Yeah, it's the famous Jill sandwich bit,
Yeah.
and we clap when it happens.
Jill sandwich. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got a grenade launcher. You got a flamethrower?
Yeah. Do you not get a flamethrower?
No, you just get the grenade launcher. The grenade launcher has incendiary rounds.
Oh,
But that's
Chris gets a
and
flamethrower, but
acid
he only
rounds.
gets it in the caves under the mansion, and he has to leave it there.
Mm.
There's little things on the wall where you take the flamethrower off it, and the door behind you locks, and then you can use it in that section
Ah,
to like
I
kill
see.
some
I
guys,
see. I see. I see.
and then you have to put it back to get out. But you can use it against the giant spider boss, Black Tiger, and it kills
Yeah,
him in about 1 second.
that's pretty good.
That was not a boss fight for me. I lit him on fire and watched a cutscene. That was it.
The the trade-off there is the plant wasn't really a boss fight for me, Plant 42,
Yeah.
because Jill can create the chemical compound to like really weaken him.
Yeah, well, you do that too with Chris. Well, Chris doesn't. So when you play as Chris, you also play as Rebecca.
Right.
She's not a party member. You play as her. At
Oh,
two
okay.
different points in the game, you just take control of Rebecca. After you fight the giant snake Yawn, if it
Hmm.
hit you and you got poisoned, then she runs off and grabs, like, she, as you, have to run and
Yeah,
grab antidote and come back and cure Chris.
cool.
Um, and during the Plant 42 boss fight, Chris gets grabbed and he's already read all the notes. So he's like, you got to do the thing, make J Volt, go kill the roots or whatever. And then she goes and does all that. And then
Very
after
neat.
Plant 42 like shrivels up and like you think dies, it comes back and then you have to fight it a second time as Chris. Um,
What was your favorite part of the game?
my favorite part of the game, the mansion. Yeah, here's the thing: is this would be one of my complaints of the game is I think that everything outside the mansion kind of, not that it's bad, but it's a dramatic fall off. I think
Right.
I think the guardhouse section, the cave section, even the lab, although less so, are all significantly less interesting than the mansion.
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't disagree. Just because the mansion has this this game, I don't want to say coasts on its vibes because it doesn't. It brings a lot to the table, but the vibes are important, and the mansion is like a big chunk of the vibes. Is just
yeah,
how spooky and eerie, and the long hallways, and what's around the corner, and what's in the next room.
yeah.
So that's good stuff.
I was having a lot of fun in like the first third of the game where you're in the mansion, and then as soon as I
Mhm.
went to the guardhouse, I was like, this is still fun, but now
Yeah.
it feels like work, you know.
Right.
And then I will say, actually, I think the cave section is just not fun at all. I think this cave section, cave kind of sucks.
Yeah, there's some extra stuff in the remake that makes it more interesting at the very least. We
Yeah,
discussed about how the remake introduces the character monster not really a boss,
yeah,
Lisa Trevor,
right.
who is so iconic. She was in one of the movies.
Yeah, although she does not exist in the version of the game that we played.
Nope, not in this one.
Also, I don't know. Maybe I missed it. It's probably in one of the voice or not voice lines, but like in one of the notes or whatever. I don't even remember them name dropping the Spencer Mansion. I think they just called it the Mansion or the Lab. Like we got name drops of
Yeah,
Arclay and Raccoon City, but I never
yeah.
remember them saying the Spencer Mansion.
I think they just call them like the Raccoon Mountains at one point. I
They
don't
do,
remember.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I don't remember them saying Spencer Mansion. That might, I mean, if it's in here, I guess we missed it. And if it's not in here,
yeah.
then it might be a retcon that they do later.
But to be fair, there's also only like I don't know, less than 10 notes. Like I feel like I would have seen it, you know?
Yeah, that's not a lot of notes to find in this one.
Yeah, the
A
story is
lot more
pretty
so later,
pretty stretched
like in
out.
the lab and such.
Yes, for sure. Um,
I like the part where you're in the lab and then you find the projection slides and you take them to the projector and then it shows you like some of the things you fought and the names of the things. So it puts in you see the dog and it's like this is the Cerberus and you're like
right.
ooh. And then
Yeah.
there's the shark and it's like this is the
This is,
Poseidon and you're
this is
like
the
ooh.
is it
And
called
then
Poseidon for you?
I thought it was. Is that not what it's? Oh, the Neptune.
For me, it's
I
called
might have.
Neptune. Your
Yeah, I
version
might
might
have
have
mixed
called it
them up.
Poseidon.
No, I think I just mixed it up.
Okay, because
Got the
our
wrong.
versions had just like different names for things. Like your difficulties were
Either
named different, and had you played as Chris, your keys would have been called desk keys, and mine were called small keys. So it's a lot of just like tiny little
mm,
like text changes.
mm, interesting.
Also, mine had like
Uh,
grammar errors where it was like this key has a carving of an armor. It's
ooh,
like that's not. It's just a carving of armor. That's all you would say.
Yeah, yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm trying to internalize that one. Like it's like a carving of. They don't want to like write pseudo. They just say you should just say armor.
Yeah.
Like if you can't fit suit of armor, just as a carving of armor.
Yeah. But they said an
Interesting.
armor. I think
Yeah,
your
it's
version may have just said armor.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
do not remember. But no. So at the end of the projection slides you look at,
Yeah.
it's like, and this is Tyrant, and you're like, oh, what is that? I haven't seen Tyrant. It's alluding to the final boss of the game. Ooh, scary. And then a few rooms later, you go in and you're attacked by multiple little bug guys that were not on the slides. You're like, ah,
Yeah.
what the fuck
And
is this?
they're
Help!
the worst enemies in the game. By
Oh my
far.
god.
I think they're called Chimera. I looked them up. I hate them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the hunters are rough because they can one hit kill you, and like they did get me once.
Mm.
And so they're genuinely scary, but they're not too bad. The Chimera ones they're just annoying. They're not too
The
hard to
on-
kill, but they're just annoying.
yeah. The only time the hunters become problems is if like you mistime a shot or something. Because normally, like with the shotgun, for example, you hit the hunter, it'll like fly back, fall over,
Yeah.
and you can kind of like stun lock it, or I guess. But then if you say miss the shot because it can do this crazy long jump,
Hmm.
and it lands behind you and hits you, then it's kind of got it's turned the tables on you. It can kind of stun you for a minute, especially if you're in a hallway with two, God forbid, three hunters, and they're just like passing you around like a volleyball.
Yeah, that
My
definitely
God,
happened to me once. They didn't kill me in that instance. The only
right?
time I got killed by hunters was the very first one, because it did one hit kill me.
Mm,
It ran up and it dove at me and cut my head off,
damn.
which they can do, I guess.
Yeah, one of the things that this game kind of tells you and prides itself on is like sometimes shooting the guy isn't always necessarily the answer. You can run away, and sometimes you just have to.
Yeah, I killed every single thing except the stupid snakes that drop it from the sky
Oh
and
God,
the
yeah,
chimeras. The snakes are stupid. I don't get them. I
you
did
just
not
have to
know
run.
what to. Yeah, that's all I ended up doing because they dropped it. And I was just like, I'm not screwing with this. I'm not bothering.
Yeah. They're
Uh,
just meant to. I think the snakes, because there's a poison mechanic in this game where you can
right.
get poisoned. Multiple different enemies can poison you, and that's where the blue herbs, the
I had
herbs being the
so
things that
many blue
heal
herbs
you.
by the end of the
Yeah,
game.
the thing is the blue herb you combine with other herbs and you take it and it heals your poison, which continues throughout the rest of the entries into the series. And yeah, I guess the snakes are just like they kind of teach you the poison mechanic and the fact that that gives you the blue herbs like right around the same time.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, snakes start falling from the heavens and the trees. You just run. You don't mess with the snakes.
Yeah, because it's also like these just look like normal snakes. Why are they doing this? Like, did they
Yeah,
get T-virused and now they're pissy? They're
no.
hissy? Like, is that what
Just
happened?
it's same thing with the crows. They're
Yeah,
not
I don't know
evil
what's up
crows.
with the
They're just
crows. But
assholes.
they killed that one guy. What's his dick? Not
They
Kenneth.
did.
Forrest.
I
They
do.
killed Forrest.
Yeah. I do think that the explanation for the crows is like they're eating the dead flesh of whatever's around, and so they do have virus in their brains.
Yeah, probably. They do say at
The
one point
snakes
that
are just
that's the
assholes
case with
around.
the spiders too, is that only Black Tiger was like actually intentionally infected, and then the other ones that are just like not as big were
Yeah,
they just like got infected.
yeah. I don't mess with no spiders.
Yeah, but these ones are like made of 6 polygons. Like I assume they didn't
That's
probably
true. I
bother you
was
too
able to
bad.
handle these ones pretty fine. When you play the remake for the first time, and the remake has a lot more spiders, and
Yeah,
it's more awful.
I've seen clips of the Black Tiger fight in the remake, and he's a lot hairier looking, and he also does the
Uh,
thing where he like raises his front legs at you.
yeah,
Does that get you?
threat posturing.
He's
That's
threat
what it's called.
posturing. Yeah, I love Rebecca. I don't know
Yeah,
how I would feel about Barry. I know the twist with Barry,
yeah.
but I just can't imagine not having Rebecca, my queen,
No,
Rebecca.
Rebecca's great. Playing both versions of this game each have their merit. Because Barry is the meme because he says the funny things.
Yeah,
Um,
Rebecca not so funny.
and yeah, Rebecca's just a cutie, really. Hey, if you like Rebecca, that means that playing Resident Evil Zero is going to go a lot better for you.
Yeah, although apparently that's one of the worst ones.
Well, I don't remember how much of that just comes down to how people hate the mechanic. Because in Zero, you control both characters at the same time. You just like switch back and forth,
Mm,
which
interesting.
can be annoying. But it definitely adds a new dimension to puzzle solving. We'll see when we get there. But
That one's
yeah,
not part of this rock block. That one comes out like fairly significantly later.
Rebecca's cool. Yeah, the Barry twist, the mechanic with Barry throughout playing as Jill is he keeps kind of like disappearing on you, and like, can you trust him is the question that's supposed to enter your mind. The remake does a better job of fleshing out that story.
Yeah, I imagine so.
At one point, he just like leaves you a bunch of ammo in a safe room, and you're like, "Oh, thanks, Barry."
For me,
And
Wesker did
then,
that.
interesting.
Yeah.
That means
For
his betrayal was even worse.
in the Chris version, when you get back, so at the guardhouse you run into Wesker and he's like killing some of the
Yeah,
wasps, which are like
you do
weird
the same
one-off
thing as
enemies.
Jill.
Oh, okay. So and Wesker's there.
Yeah, you. That's like the only time really that you bump into Wesker, other than the
Uh,
end.
yeah.
Barry, you run into Barry a lot more. He gives you the grenade launcher. He leaves you some ammo behind. You basically explore part of the caves with him,
Hmm.
and there's a point where, and this is weird. I could see this being like a deduction of points if you didn't know to do it.
Sure.
There's a part where after you fight Yon the second time, Yon being the big snake, if we haven't said that already,
Right.
Yon like crashes a hole through the floor.
And you drop
Or
down into the
no,
basement
that's
that has a
yeah.
terrible song. The worst song I've ever heard in a video game.
You have to drop down into the basement. Barry is the one that like leaves the rope for you, or
What
he's like,
rope?
here, Jill, I've got a rope. Go ahead and climb down the basement.
Oh,
And
Chris doesn't
then
get a rope at all. He just jumps.
yeah, so you climb down, and then the rope like falls or disappears, and you're like, Barry, what's going on? And then Barry's like, wait right there. Let me go get another rope. And he like runs off.
Mm.
And it's one of those old video game things where if you don't wait for Barry and just progress, then you don't get the good ending.
You just stand there and wait for Barry?
Yeah, it's not long. It's maybe like
Does he throw you a rope?
10, 15 seconds. But yeah, he brings back a rope and he throws down another rope. He's like, Jill, come on. And then you go back up the rope. And then I guess Barry knows you're alive. And assuming like if you progressed without him, he might think something happened to you. I don't know. I don't really see how that factors in to the good ending, because the rest of the thing to get the good ending is proving to Barry that you trust him, and like the idea of mistrust in this version
Right.
seemingly comes out of nowhere. They
Right.
add enough
Well,
in the remake that you're like, what's this guy up to? Because he is technically up to something.
right. Well, you haven't said actually what the twist is.
That Wesker's the bad guy, and Barry is supposedly working for him because Wesker has kidnapped Barry's family.
Yeah. So he's under duress working for evil
Yeah,
Wesker.
yeah, and
Um,
like I was saying, the remake explains that pretty well.
right. Does this
And
not very well?
well, in this one, like I was saying, you don't really have a reason to mistrust Barry by the time that you're in the caves with him,
Hmm.
and he's saying like Jill, do you want me to go with you? And you can say yes. Like, yeah, Barry, stick with me. And then he asks like, do you want to go ahead of me or behind me? And you can say, I'll go ahead of you, Barry. I trust you. And like if you say you don't trust him, he doesn't help you at the very end and therefore
Hmm.
cannot escape with you, I guess. It's weird. It's a very old video game where you have to like read between the lines, I guess, to know the right thing, or you just have to already know.
Yeah. I think Rebecca must be easier on that front then because all you have to do for her is not let her die.
Yeah,
There's
I
like
was
two
gonna
different
say.
sections where she can die. I guess you can get her killed when you're playing as her, but also if you like meet her at a different spot instead, because she
Hmm.
can be over where I don't even know if you would have gotten his name because for you, Jill wouldn't have had any tie to Bravo team like at all, right? Because you didn't have Rebecca.
No,
So
no.
the guy who's dead, like near the door to the attic, his name's Richard.
Oh yeah, no, I know Richard. He was alive when I found him.
Oh, he can be alive when Chris finds him, but he was dead when I found him.
Oh, I
Um,
see.
So if you find him and he's alive, then you have to like run and get serum for him and bring it back.
Mm.
But also if you do that with Chris, then if you get to there when he's still alive, then Rebecca's there and she like is trying to fix him, and then he gets killed by Jan, which is like oops.
Interesting. Okay, so Jill's experience with Richard in this version
Is he always alive for you?
is well, I think so. Like you go in and he's like bleeding profusely and says he was poisoned, and Jill's like, I know where to get the serum, and then you zip over to the thing and you grab the serum and you zip back, and I even reloaded the save because I did it as fast as I possibly could,
Hmm.
and he still dies.
Oh,
But you can I don't know if you can save him in this. I don't think you can. I mean, if anyone else
you
knows better, leave a comment.
you can't save him,
Well,
but
no, you
you
can't save him
because he gets killed by
because
Jan.
yeah. So that's in the remake. You can cure his poison as Jill.
Oh, you can cure
Um,
spirit poison as Chris in the original version, but technically it's Rebecca who does it. Is you maybe because she's the doctor, so she can
yeah,
like
that
do it better.
maybe that's
But then
that's
he gets
the
killed by Jan. So
thought process. So, all right. So in the remake, we're gonna keep talking about the remake, and we're gonna
I've not
repeat it
played it,
all
so
when
it's
we
only
play
going to
the
be you.
remake. Um, well, I mean, I guess I could leave this, but it's gonna be years. I don't care. I'm just gonna tell you now.
It's fine. Go for it.
Um, so yeah, in the remake, when you find Richard as Jill and you get him the serum fast enough, you cure him, and he's like, "Oh, thank you, I'm cured," and he stays alive for a minute, and then you go in to fight Jan, and he's like, "Jill, no!" Jumps in, and Jan just swallows him whole.
Yeah,
When you
that's
s-
kind of what happens in this.
when you play as Chris in the remake, he does the same thing, but not with Jan. He does it with the shark.
Oh,
Yeah, he like follows you down. He's like, Chris, look out! And then the shark eats him. He's destined to be swallowed whole no matter what you do.
damn. Cannot save him. But yeah, I think I guess it depends because so if you have Rebecca, it's kind of weird that you can only get one of these things. But because if you have Rebecca, then you're more tied to the original team, and you get like little bits of story about like who they were and what like oh my god they died in this terrible way.
Yeah.
But if you're with Barry, then you get more about Wesker's betrayal. Whereas for me, it was just like oh the guy with sunglasses is a dick. Also,
Yeah,
for you, he doesn't get killed by Tyrant, does he?
he did not. No.
For me, he
Well,
gets fully stabbed by Tyrant. I mean, he's not dead,
I
obviously, we know this,
I
but
believe in the ending that I got, because I don't know what would have happened if Barry had not come back and helped me. There's a voice line, one of my favorite voice lines in this game, which I did not get in this playthrough.
what a
Um,
mansion.
where I hope that I say it correctly, but she says like when he's explaining Tyrant and how it's like the ultimate life form,
Mm.
she's like, Wesker, you're pathetic.
Wait,
It's really stupid that I love it so much, but I
no,
do.
the Chris one there is also really funny because he's doing that, and Chris just starts laughing at him, and Wesker turns and he's like, no, stop, like stop
Yeah.
laughing. It's really funny.
Oh, it's pitiful. Wesker, you're
He's a
pitiful. That's what it
in the
is.
Chris story. Wesker's a little bitch. He's such a little bitch. He is not intimidating at all. He's like, look, my ultimate weapon, and it just breaks out and kills him. You're like, oh, okay.
Maybe I'm Mandela affecting it. Maybe it is Chris that says the line that I like. Either way, yeah, so Barry pulls a gun on you and he's like, "I'm sorry, Jill. He has my family." And you're like, "Oh, Barry."
Hmm.
And then, and then he's like, "Yeah, now I'm going to show you the cool thing I have in the tank in here, Jill. Come on." And then you take two steps in front of Wesker, and then Barry just like puts him in the coquina clutch and
Knocks him
knocks his
out.
ass out.
Yeah,
And he's like, "Let's get out of here," or no, I think Barry says like, "Let's go look at what Wesker was gonna show us anyways."
right. I that
And then
feels a
you go
little
in
clumsy,
there,
but all right.
Tyrant comes out, you fight it, and then by the time you go back to where Wesker was, he has mysteriously disappeared. Which again is something that I think the remake is like, we're gonna clean this up a little bit.
Yeah. When you play as Chris in that scene where Barry, I guess, would knock him out, Wesker just shoots Rebecca.
Damn.
He
Is
just
she
shoots
okay?
her. Yeah, she's wearing a bulletproof vest, but like
Oh, okay.
she
Okay.
like falls over and is presumed dead for the entire first tyrant fight. And
Oh,
then you get out and she's like, "Good thing I'm wearing my bulletproof vest."
right.
And you're like,
The equivalent,
"Thanks,
because I guess
Rebecca.
they didn't want another character running around during the fight.
You
The
want my cream,
equivalent
Rebecca?"
is the equivalent is Tyrant gets out of the tube and just like Falcon punches Barry into the wall.
Oh,
Like he
so
just
okay.
knocks his ass out.
So he does start your fight still by kicking the hell out of somebody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Let's
Uh,
see, what else is there to talk about?
I need to talk, I think, a little bit about the negatives I have for this game. We talked about one
Yeah,
of them,
well,
which is that I think everything outside of the mansion is a pretty sizable step down. Um,
sure. The
I do
mansion is
think,
pretty great.
yeah, the mansion's great. The and even the parts outside of it, I think, are still, except for the cave, good.
Mm,
The tank controls are rough. I don't think shooting or
yeah,
moving feels good. I know that a lot of people defend it and they're like, "Well, it's a survival horror. You're not supposed to feel like you have strength." It's like, okay, but like it's more frustrating than like difficult, and I feel like that's
yeah.
something that gets lost. I do think that it didn't feel as bad for us because we just came off of Siphon Filter 2 where it
Yeah,
was
that's a good
way
point.
worse.
That's a
So
good
so
point.
I walked into this and I was like, this is easy, I got it. But I
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
also like, this is rough. I was like,
It's
I
definitely,
recognize this is rough.
as far as tank controls go,
They're always rough.
this was better, but it's never the right answer.
Yeah.
It's never good. Like tank controls are made fun of for a reason. But I still think I was able to cope with it here.
Yes.
Let's see. How do you feel about the doors?
The door cutscenes?
The Yeah, the animations.
I don't mind them. I think they're iconic. I don't think they're
So
bad. Are they bad?
yeah, no. There's nothing.
I
I
think they're
don't think the
fine.
doors themselves are bad. I think, and I buy into the idea of like every time you see the door animation, you're thinking, what's behind the door, you know? And
Mm,
the answer is well, the room that it's loading,
yeah.
but it adds to the atmosphere, and I'm fine with it. I never had a problem with the doors. I guess the only time is like when you get to one side of the mansion and you're like, oh shit, I forgot something,
Hmm.
and you have to like go back through the doors. But even then, it's like, okay, the part that really made me angry is when I made the same mistake, but I had to go up some stairs.
The stairs
The
take a
stairs
long
pissed
time.
me off.
Yeah. And
The stair, and the camera shows you like step,
yeah,
step,
it's a
step. I'm
lot.
like, no, come on, step
It's an
faster.
issue of the tech. For you, I guess it doesn't make as much sense. For me, I was still playing on the PS2, so I was like, okay, yeah, it's a
Mm,
limitation of tech. And I will say, it did hang sometimes before the door opened or the first stair got stepped on, and I was like,
okay.
did it freeze? Because it did freeze on me
Oh,
once. My version did freeze
oh
once, and
no.
so and it was early on. So from that point on, I was like, you can freeze at any second. So I was not hesitating on the saves.
I'll tell you
Um,
about my big oopsie.
yeah.
As mentioned, I was playing this on PS Plus, and because I was playing on PS Plus, and you could just like hit the hard pause, or if something really bad happened, I could rewind
Oh,
on the
you
little
can
timeline thing that
rewind.
they
Yeah,
had.
I didn't have that.
Yeah, I didn't really exploit that too much, but just like because of that, I wasn't saving. And
Mm,
then something happened where I was like, "Oh, I got to go do something. I got to set this down for a minute." And I left and I came back and my PS5 was like, Hey, we noticed you left, so we just go ahead and power down for you." And I didn't
I
think
hate
anything of
that.
it because I was thinking of the how the Xbox will just like suspend your
The
gameplay.
quick
It's like
resume.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, quick resume. We're good. So then I boot up Resident Evil and I'm like, I didn't save and there's nothing here and the
Oh,
timeline's
there was
gone.
no save at all. How far in
Mm-mm-mm.
were you?
Mm. I had beaten Plant 42.
Gee, that's half the game.
Yeah.
Because you don't even. That's not a complaint, but something I did notice is you're like halfway through the game before you fight a boss. Before you fight Yawn, you're like halfway
Yeah.
through the whole
It
game.
really lets you dwell in the exploration and you by the time you get to a boss, which is the snake,
Yeah,
you're at the point where you might be feeling pretty good about yourself. You can handle your typical zombie. You might have some good amount of ammunition. Then they throw a giant snake at you.
yeah, which is
Um,
crazy.
but yeah. So I was about halfway through the game and I lost all my progress and I my initial reaction was just to like stand up and leave the room without saying anything. And then I just did a deep sigh and I went and I sat back down and then
Yeah,
I had to play the whole game in one sitting.
A similar thing happened to me actually. I played most of the game in one sitting, but it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was in the lab. And there's that one puzzle where you have to push the boxes around and then push the stairs onto the thing to go up into the
Right.
to get the ammo disc.
Yeah, yeah.
I did that, but the box must have been like slightly misaligned, and so it,
Yeah.
it pumped gas. But I could still climb up
Yeah.
on the thing, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like I'll take a little bit of damage. I'll just climb up on the thing and go into the next room. It'll be fine. Nope. You can still climb up on the thing, but it won't let you go climb into the vent if the
Ooh.
gas is spraying. And what I didn't know, you don't take damage from the thing, even though when it starts you go, ugh, like you got hit. Which
Yeah.
so I assumed you would just keep getting like little hits and then take damage. No, the second thing that happens is you just die.
Oh, cool.
So I fortunately had recently saved, but it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was like, you know what? I'll just do the last like 30 minutes of
Right.
this game tomorrow. I'll wait. It's fine. I'm okay. Actually, I'm going to bed. Um, only other two negatives I have, and one of them I think is charming. The voice acting is bad, but I
Oh
do
yeah.
find it charming.
Yes.
Um, I don't want to take like a lot of points away for the voice acting because it's like that is one of the things that's so iconic about this game. But
Mm.
I think being like I like it even though it's bad is a little bit like, well, that's not really fair to the review. Just like you're like
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
bad. It is really bad voice acting
It goes into the game being aged, like we said.
for sure. Yeah. Um,
Um.
and then my biggest complaint with the whole game, and it's something we have barely talked about in any of the other games because it has never come up. I think
Right.
the soundtrack for this game is terrible. I think it's real bad.
Okay.
The number one issue is, and I don't even know if we had the same soundtrack. I genuinely don't.
I don't.
One
That's a
of
good question because I don't think to me the soundtrack like stood out one way or the other. I can't even remember
it is
anything.
so bad in the version I played. The specifically, and I'll send it to you. I'll actually send it to you right now, and you can listen
Yeah.
to it. The soundtrack, specifically the song from the mansion basement
Right.
is
You had alluded to that before.
it is I think genuinely the worst song I have ever heard in a video game ever. This is real. This was in the game.
All right. Let me listen to this.
And this is significantly worse than anything else in the soundtrack, but everything in the soundtrack, in at least my version, was pretty rough. So I didn't enjoy that. And there were a couple of times where I was just like, in certain areas, I just had to turn the sound down because I was like, I can't deal with this. I cannot handle
Full,
this right now.
full stop. I don't remember this at all.
If you had heard it, you would. That's what I'm saying. So I don't think we had the same soundtrack because
Oh
that's
man.
awful. That's the worst song I've ever heard in a video game, and I've heard some bad soundtracks. I don't know how that got into the game. I genuinely don't. Describe to the audience what you're hearing right now.
Um, if somebody was asked to like do a Super Mario 64 song and they were like 9 beers in,
It's pretty bad.
yeah,
I'll put a little clip of it if I can get it without getting like I don't know copyright or something. I'll stick a little clip of it in here for the audience so they can hear it. Um, but yeah, it's really really bad. But that's really all my negatives. Everything else I have for this game is positives. Maybe not like hugely glowing positives. Like I don't think I do think this game is iconic, and I think that it's amazing for its time. Um, I don't think any of the amazing aspects of it like really still hold up. I think that it's more of a thing of like it's really cool that they got this done back then. You know what I mean? But it's definitely not a thing where it's like this is still a really good game. I think I just enjoy it still. You know?
all right. We got some breaking news. We
Oh
got some
no.
live on the scene cover. Take this with a grain of salt because I'm getting information from Reddit.com.
Oh, did you Google the song?
But it seems that the um the director's cut had like a change in the music
Yeah, the director's
that
cut has a
people
fully orchestrated soundtrack instead of like synth.
right. So, but it looks like my version was changed and yours wasn't, or vice versa.
No
What's
idea.
the deal here?
But I maintain if you had heard that song, you would have remembered it.
Yeah, I don't think I did, man.
Yeah.
Unless I might have. You know what? Anyone listening is gonna quickly learn that I might have brain damage and I don't remember things.
We're like almost 30 episodes in between all of the different shows. If they haven't learned it by now, this is not going to be the time that it breaks on them. But
Ladies and
uh
gentlemen,
yeah.
If I did hear this and I just don't remember, please tell me,
The
and then help me cross the street
He'll be across the
because
street.
I'm lost.
But no, everything else about this game I find charming. I think the voice acting, while bad, I think is charming. The FMV opening and closing, I think, are also probably bad, but I find really
Man,
charming.
man, how can
Um,
you not?
they're really cute. Uh, I don't know. I really like this game. I don't think there's a ton really to talk about it. I will say one of the things that I noticed. This is my first time playing Resident Evil One. I played everything from 4 on, except 6. So there's a lot of other ones that I've missed. This being one of them. I've obviously learned a lot about it just by being in the game space. I knew Jill Sandwich. I know that Wesker's a
Yeah,
dickhead. Like, there's a
yeah,
bunch of that stuff. What I will say is, I didn't really know the bosses. It is so weird to me that Resident Evil 1 is just like, yeah, you're going to fight some animals. You're going to fight a snake and a spider and a shark and a plant.
yeah.
And those
Well,
are your boss. And then a dude.
in the context in the context, it makes sense where you learn like, oh, we got this underground lab and we're just shoving viruses into whatever we got, and what we got was a snake and a spider and some sharks. That one's weird,
Yeah, I
but
don't know where they got those ones.
yeah, and then seeing like what it does to this plant, and then we make the ultimate bioweapon from there, which is just a big gray man.
Yeah, it's a big knowing where the bosses of this series go. It is just like a big guy. He's like rough, maybe 7 feet, maybe 6.5 feet, and he's got one hand that's a claw, and that's like really all there. I mean, he's got his heart out also, but like as far as like huge mutations, really just the one big hand.
Yeah.
And just like
Eh, eh,
knowing some of the bosses specifically in like 5, especially, you're like,
yeah, one big guy becomes par for the course in this series. Like that's just typical everyday stuff.
yeah,
By the time we get to 6, which you didn't play, which is also bad, there's a guy that basically transforms into a big T-Rex.
yeah. I mean, well, in 5, there's a guy who turns into a fish, so who
Really
knows?
big fish.
Real big fish.
Good game though.
It is. I really really enjoyed it. I don't have a ton else to say. Is there anything else that you want to bring up here? I don't really have any like trivia or anything that we didn't already cover
Um,
even.
the only thing we didn't mention about like why we would or would not be saving is that the ink ribbons, like saving is
Sure.
something
Yeah.
you need to carry in your inventory, kind of.
Yeah.
Like you need to find items that let you save.
Yeah. Yeah. So you save at a typewriter, which is, I assume, I mean, in the games that I've played, that's how it is.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
but
pretty iconically Resident Evil saving
yeah,
at typewriters at this
but
point.
for all the ones that I've played, except 2, you don't need an item to it. You can just save. So having a limited save item did feel a little stressful, although I always felt like I had like at least 4 of them in the box. So I wasn't too worried.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, when I wasn't saving, I would just find ink ribbons and be like, "Ugh, get out of here!" And then, boy, did I regret it. But it's fine.
Mm.
Um, yeah, the idea of turning saving your game into a limited resource is
It's a little spooky.
pretty innovative. Pardon me. That's part of the brain damage right
Yeah.
there.
Is you occasionally say things in the way that British people do.
Oh, don't make fun of my British
Your
blood.
Britishness, tea and crumpets and such. I actually do have 2 other notes. They're very minor things, but I did want to point them out. Number 1, in your version, you can just play that piano, huh?
Jill, yeah.
Yeah, Jill can just play that piano. Chris can't.
Yes.
So he has
No.
to have Rebecca do it.
Yeah, only women can play Moonlight Sonata, turns out.
I think it's hilarious that it's Moonlight Sonata. This is obviously 1996, so it's like a little early on, but I feel like that's such a cliche.
It
It
should have been Vanessa Carlton.
should have been Vanessa. Oh my god, can you imagine? Put that
Rebecca
edit in
just sits
there.
down and starts.
I would have been so
That'd be pretty
happy.
good. Yeah.
And then the other thing that I had was just in my notes, just right here at the bottom, it says Ada mentioned.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like one note where it's like, Ada, you have to make sure that all this news gets out. And it's weird because I'm pretty sure in 2 she's like working with Wesker, so I want to know how that happens.
Well,
And
so she
this is a different Ada, I guess.
no. She's a spy. So yeah, she was, because the guy that left the note was like, "Ada, my beloved, I need you to escape out of here and get the whatever." But
Yeah,
she was,
John or whatever.
as you learn more about her, you just assume that like, oh, that John dude was being played and she was spying the whole time.
So was she spying on John or was she spying on Wesker? Does she actually work for Wesker?
At one point, she does work for Wesker, but you know what?
So she's
We'll
a
just learn
villain.
as we
She's the
go.
bad lady.
She's
She's a
never
baddie in
been,
every meaning of the word.
she's never been a good person.
I mean, she helps Leon a bunch. I mean,
She helps him because she thinks Leon's a cutie, and she's right.
and
He
she's
is.
right. He's very cute, has great
Yeah,
hair.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Skyler, using our patented and phenomenal rating system, wherein a
That we came up with.
that we came up with and didn't steal from anybody. Where
No.
10 is a masterpiece, 9 is amazing, 8 is great, 7 is good, 6 is okay, 5 is mediocre, 4 is bad, 3 is awful, 2 is painful, and 1 is unbearable. Where do you rate the very first Resident Evil?
I'm gonna come in with a number I'm thinking, and
Okay.
then I might workshop it. I'm thinking an 8 out of 10. That makes this one great. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason I think that is because, as mentioned, I think the remake would be my definitive version of this story. Cleans up some stuff, and I think that an 8 out of 10 reflects that this game is super iconic, but it also like, leaves a couple points off for like how silly it is and how aged some of the things are, and the fact that you are playing with tank controls and yada yada. I do like the fixed camera angles though. I don't think I ever said that. I think it works very well, and
Yeah,
there's never like a really bad camera angle in this
I
that
would
I can
agree with
think of.
that. Yeah, there's like maybe one or two instances where I would be like in a hallway and I'd pull out the gun and then the camera angle would shift back into like right in my face again. I couldn't see the guy I was about to
Cool.
shoot.
Yeah,
But that was
when you
pretty rare.
sometimes when you fire the gun, I guess you move back like an inch.
I
And
guess
so there were
so.
times where like I found a new camera angle and it was like, "Oh, zombie," and then you shoot the gun and then you're just back in the other thing and
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh, crap."
Yeah. That definitely happened to me a
Um,
couple times. That would be my only complaint with the fixed camera angles. Otherwise, didn't mind it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But
So,
also, it's worth noting they made the American version of Resident Evil 1 harder originally. The director's cut they changed it back. The originally
oh.
because rental games were such a big thing in America where it was not in
Oh,
Japan, they took out auto aim. So you had to like actually
right.
aim the gun.
Right, right,
Director's cut
right.
they add that back in. That would have
Yeah.
been a nightmare in fixed camera angle.
Yeah,
I think.
I
I don't
don't
know.
even
I would
know.
have been killed by the hunter 4,000 times.
Sure. If you're gonna play this game, play the director's cut.
Definitely play the director's cut. But also, if there's a director's cut version that has the good soundtrack, play that one because mine was bad.
Which again we've discovered might have been the one I played, but I don't know. Yeah, so if I gave Banjo-Kazooie,
Hmm.
the first game we reviewed,
Right?
an 8.5, and I'm putting this one at 8, I think that's pretty close.
Yeah.
Does make me rethink because I gave Pokemon Stadium an 8. So I don't know.
You think
But
this
I'm
is
not
maybe not
doing
as good?
8.25. That's not allowed. So I don't know. Where are you thinking? Where are you thinking if I'm maybe saying 8?
You're gonna think this is crazy. I think I'm also giving it an 8. I think that I am exactly also on an 8. I really thought about this quite a bit, and I was like, I think if I was reviewing this at the time, I might have given it a 9. But I feel like there's a lot of parts of it that don't hold up. But even with
Right.
those parts not holding up, I feel like it does a much better job holding up than other games of its time period. And I think that it was just genuinely still really fun to play. And so I think the only other game that I've given an 8 to, I believe, is Perfect Dark. I think that is the highest grade that I have given so far. And I
Right.
think I enjoyed this one pretty much exactly the same amount that I enjoyed that one, where I was like, it has issues, but it has enough positives that I think it outweighs that. And so
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
say definitively, like, it is great. It has held up well enough that I would still recommend people go back and play it.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna stick with the 8 because I like it when we agree on things.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
means that the aggregate score for this game is an 8 out of 10.
The easiest math you'll ever do.
which puts it at number 1 for 1996, the only game we
Only
reviewed in
game.
1996.
Yeah, because Kazooie was what, 98 or something?
Kazooie was 98, yeah. But
Yeah.
hey, Resident Evil 2 is 98, so we'll see. Can it beat Banjo-Kazooie?
Ooh, we'll see. We'll see.
Might.
Well,
Last thing we'll say
yeah.
is the canonical ending of this game is there are 5 stars members that escape the mansion alive and unscathed, not including Wesker, who's a diddler and escaped whatever. So Chris, Jill, Rebecca, Barry, and the pilot, whose name I always forget. They are the 5 survivors.
Brad Vickers.
Brad Vickers. Whenever I get Brad, I remember the full government.
The full government. It's the only way to remember
Exactly.
him, really.
Yeah.
Um,
So they all survive.
yeah, which is cool. It's cool. It's weird, I guess, from my perspective. Well, and it would be just for a different character for you, but because Barry is just like not in my game at all. Like I did not know a Barry.
Yeah.
Barry who?
Yeah. I do think it's kind of a bummer that
does Barry show up in other games? I don't remember him.
He does.
Which one?
Not playable. Okay, so you play as his daughter in at least one of the Revelations games.
Oh, I didn't play those ones.
And he makes a cameo appearance in one of the games. We'll save that. I won't spoil that.
Sure.
And he's in one of the movies. He dies in that though, because those
no.
movies are doo-doo butt.
Doo-doo butt. Well, if you aren't doo-doo butt, leave a comment on Spotify and YouTube. Those are the 2 places you can find us, and I would appreciate it very much if you followed us on both of them. You don't have to watch on both. Watch only on your favorite, but leave a comment on whichever one that is so that we know which one you love and how much you love us. You can follow the show on Twitter at @RSR_POD. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Daniel J. McGee.
You can follow me on Blue Sky at Skyler 8-bit.
And until next time, everybody.
Daniel, give me your best play more games in the Resident Evil announcer's voice.
Oh, play more games.
That was like Mortal Kombat, but we'll take it.
Play more games. Play more games. I don't know. It's tough.
It's okay.
He just screams. You gotta do
The
this.
game's just starting, the world's so bright. Jump right in, everything feels